What's up, everybody? B2, I'm going to check in with a little bit of conflict of nations, and we're going to specifically look at the intelligence menu. It's something that people don't use a lot of, and so we're going to pick it apart. Remember, good generals don't plan to fail, they simply fail to plan. So the best place is to really start in a city that you are looking for on your own, right? So one of your own cities. And if you click on it, let's say I come into this one and I click intelligence, it's going to flip open to the intelligence window. This is going to show you a little bit about your city, right? It's going to say that it has 2 barracks and a recruitment. It has a low morale because it's a city we've just taken. It's still smoking. You can see it in the background. And if I look at the specific to that city, let me close this back out. It will tell you here's the 25%, and when I click on the eye, it's going to say distance to HQ is a -15, at war with 5 nations, -10, neighboring morale -6, meaning that there's other not great morales around it, but that's okay. As the days progress, as you keep the territory longer, as you build there, that morale will grow, and it affects the other morale in there. So that's how it looks when you click on your own city and then select the intelligence window. If you think there is something in your city that's keeping your morale down, or your buildings are just crumbling, they're damaged all the time, you have a spy in your city. There's somebody who's running an intelligence operation, meaning it's a sabotage or a corruption, right? So we're going to talk specifically about what to do in each one of those cases, but you would basically just hire them. I've got 2 available, and then I would throw a counter ops in there. And now you can see that this is coming out and we're running counter operations. Now I know that the computer, we're playing against people that are not active and not in the game, because that's what this window means down here. It means there's only 5 players left in this game. It's the 5 that are at the top of the scoreboard, and all 5 are in our coalition, right? We've just pretty much massacred everybody else out, and there's no need for these guys with 5, 2, and 6 cities to keep playing, so they've just left and moved on to other games, which is what you want, because now you can boost all your score and everything, right? So let's go specifically back. That is how it runs in your own city. You just have one option, and that's to run spies out of there. If you run this and you catch them, it will tell you who sent the operations to you, and it'll pop up in this window. From this, you can see the previous day, like you can see starting to get that, but we just didn't need right here. We caught an agent from an unknown nation after executed. So in New Orleans, we caught who it was. It actually told us, I believe it was the US that day, but no big deal. So that's how you do intelligence in your own cities. But now, more importantly, we're going to move on and look at other cities. So La Paz here, it is an occupied city, which means that it was Bolivia and Peru took them over. They've had this city for a long time. They're getting ready to lose more. As long as we don't end the game, I think in 4 hours the game's going to end anyway, just based on our overall progress. But if I click the intelligence window now, you're going to see a whole host of options that you didn't previously have. And remember, it's expensive. So each one you hire is 20 grand just to recruit them. And then and that's per day, right? So idle agents are 500 a day. And then as you come down here, it's going to cost you per day to run the different actions. So if I wanted to do something in La Paz, I would hire the agent first, and then I would assign it. So let's pick intelligence. You'll see that the available goes down 1, and this one goes up 1. It's going to cost me 2K per day to run intelligence on this city. Now, intelligence is only going to reveal what's going on in that city, right? So you're going to be able to see units and things, movements in and out. You're going to be able to see that, which is super cool. It'll give you an idea. Should I attack there first, or should I go to a different city? Like if you have enough to spend. Corruption is going to lower morale. It tells you agents on corrupting missions wreak havoc among the enemy's resource production and population morale, right? It costs 4K a day. That's a hard one. When the morale gets so low, they're going to start getting rogues in there, and they're gonna have to fight off rogues. So it's an easy way to start damaging buildings. Well, not damaging buildings, but hurting the morale, reducing resource production. So if you can afford it early on, you can throw it on their rare materials, and then they're gonna have to buy from the market. It makes life more expensive, right? So then you can also run a sabotage, which is agents will carry out sabotage missions, damage the infrastructure, and delay construction. That's a really big one. When you start damaging a lot of buildings, you got to go back and fix an airfield. If you do their barracks, they can't produce infantry. If their airfield's damaged, they can't fly troops in. Like this, like in the intelligence window, I think is pretty much underutilized in most of the game by most players. It's probably probably something you don't do a lot of early game because of the cost on it. You could better spend that money towards resources, but everybody has a different style, right? But mid game, you absolutely want to be in the spy game, and you want to be hitting them. Now, this is the part about the game where people start to disagree. Because you can also spend gold for intelligence, right? So you can reveal local forces. It'll reveal any army owned by the nation that's located around the targeted area, the exact moment. So you can hit it and then see what's going on, and then it goes away for 2,500 gold, right? You can gather counter intel, which discloses the nation's resources, diplomatic relations, communications, agent positions, unit mobilization. It's a pretty neat little thing, right? I don't get to use these much because I don't use gold, so I don't get to see exactly what they do. Dissident decreases local morale 10%. That can hurt you if you're trying to ruin a city and you hit it multiple times and lower the morale. Disrupting the economy, destroys part of the daily production. Sabotage buildings. Again, these are single provinces, but this is the big one here. It reveals the nation's forces. And then once you hit this for 15,000 gold, it's going to show every unit that this person has in every city. Now, I think it only lasts a day or 2 days. I can't remember, but I've only had this used against me, and I saw it from the other player's perspective, and they sent me a screenshot. They're like, yeah, hey, I see all your stuff. I'm like, okay, well, the beauty of Discord and people bragging. But 15K is steep, and again, I don't use gold to win. I will use it to enhance my game, meaning I paid like the subscription and got the on the security council, which gives you some bonuses there too, right? So as far as like the spy menu goes, like these are what you'll be looking for. But I'll tell you some ways to use this properly. So what we did was I looked down here at some of these other cities, and we're looking at Santa Cruz. So I went ahead and put an agent in all 3 cities. Put one of each agent in the city to see what it would do. And as I started to look, the morale's already going down. The next day, it's 31%. It was like 40, 45. And we're starting to hammer down the morale. So eventually it will start smoking, which it did at below 35%. And then we're already destroying the buildings in here. So if I close the intel window and I look, there's 0 buildings in here. We have already knocked them out of place. So if there was an airport here or anything, it's already gone, right? Now this will eventually produce a rogue, which will attack any forces that may or may not be in the city. My gut tells me there's nobody left in this city, so the rogues will take it at the reset. But again, at reset, I think this is going to be a W for the team. The other thing with intelligence is I wanted to point out one kind of neat feature for you, and I'm going to show it to you in another game that we're playing, right? So I know that I have some friends in this game, some guys that I've been playing with a long time. I'm not actually recording this and putting out live stuff of this one because this game is going to be a pretty intense one. We have research complete. All right. So what I did was I started a game. I was second to last. I went in Angola. It only has 5 cities. I'm ranked so far down here. Like I'm ranked with 7 and 70. And this is day 3, but look how far down we are. This is going to be a heck of a game to get up here. But I do have some allies in this game, right? So when you talk about intelligence and information gathering, you want to look on here when you get in and see the coalition-wise. So for me, I joined the Africa when it made more sense. We had DR Congo and Ethiopia. So we've got a good cross-section. We've cut the north from the south, which is helpful. If there's an alliance up here and down here members, then they're not going to be able to throw help without going in the ocean. And at that point, they're likely to get shot out by ships or whatever's guarding. This early in the game, you can usually sneak units around and not have to sneak units. But I wanted to show you what happens when you do intelligence, right? Because I know North Korea. This a guy I play with in a different game. So I get him. I'm like, hey, man, what's going on? He sends me out. And there's another guy in here that I know as well who's playing Ukraine, right? So I look up here, and I have shared... Well, obviously with my alliance mates, you get shared intelligence already. But with Ukraine, I also have it with him. So if I look and I can go up here, these are guys that I've played with. So I want to keep track on them. If I see armies moving towards them, or I can try to connect lands knowing that these guys are friendly. So you can use that shared intel and see exactly what they have going on, right? So I believe that if I look for Ukraine... they're in here. This is a different one, but North Korea Lex is in with Japan, Mongolia, Philippines. Like that's a pretty nice nicely situated coalition, right? And if I go to North Korea, I'm going to be able to actually see all of his units too and see what he's building. He's obviously building some choppers. He's got a pretty good head start. He's got a decent military for starting way out in the middle of nowhere, and he's been moving towards South Korea to pick up some extra resources. He's going to be short, so he's got one supply here. One supply. He's got two now components, which is nice because you can do ships and choppers and everything. He's going to have enough fuel because fuel's not an issue anymore. And now that he captures Seoul, he's going to have his electronics, which he didn't have from the start. Because you see, he was up here, so he only had 4 cities to start with, which puts you at a tremendous disadvantage. You're already at negative in one of the productions. So I'll be able to see these guys. He's also allied here. Now, if I look where he's allied with, he's got Japan, which is covering his right. He's got Mongolia, which is covering his left. And then he has Philippines from the south. So the only thing he really has to worry about is China, which is right here on his border. So, he's going to have that to worry about. But with Mongolia right here and Japan over here, Philippines to the south, like all in here, he's going to be in a good position to start. So that's what shared intelligence will do for you at the beginning of the game. I just wanted to point that out, that does fall into intel for me and knowing where to move on the map and win, right? And of course, like, you're going to see all your hometown people in Ethiopia just going ham early in the game, which I love because the bigger he spreads, the easier the game gets for me. And now he can start coming south. Hopefully that helps you out with all the intel stuff, and then the shared intelligence, which makes it easier to see what's going on the map. Any questions or comments? I always love to hear your feedback. Let me know in the comments section.